We have one route already created. This will be for initialization of the rooms. First, we will use our rooms route variable. So we'll type room routes. And whenever we reach URL of init with post, we would like to do the following things to grab the requests and the response. And we would like to create two rooms and to insert them into our database. So first, let's create the rooms. It will be an array of two objects. And the first one will be house name. And it will be, let's say, 1. The second field reserved, it will be an empty array. So you may be wondering when I am taking those values. Actually, house name and reserved, they are part of the model defined here. So actually, we are inserting two records inside of our rooms collection, which we'll see in a moment. Let's say this will be the 2. So the reserved is empty. We have 2 initial rooms. And now this array, because it's still just in the memory, we'll use our model room, insert many. This means that we'll be inserting more than one record in the MongoDB. First, we'll have to provide what we want to insert. This is our rooms array. Then we'll provide what we would like to do when the operation finishes. Again, we have error and result here, and actually it's basically the same as the other function here. I will just type if we have received error to send the error to the user. Otherwise, in the request we would like to send as a JSON the result. So if you remember this role here, it's basically the same as here. So this is the callback function we are trying to run. And this is the init function. Let's save for now and go back to our MongoDB database. Here we see in the rooms that we already have 2 collections inside. So let's remove them for now to see if our init function works. Okay, just we'll click here and we'll delete. And when we click on rooms once again, we see that there is no information inside. So the query returns 0 results. This means that if we're trying to fetch again our rooms, the JSON will be empty as a result. Then we can run this route init, but we have to make a post request in order for this to be triggered, this route. In order to do so, we will use postman, and we will change here the request type to post, and we will type our URL we would like to go to. It should be rooms init, and before this it will be the address of our server and the port 8080. Just by doing this and clicking on send, it should go and send the request. We see that we have errors. We're using the request to send the error or the result. Actually, we should be using the response variable. So we just correct this and save, refreshing our server, and try again with the postman to send a post request. We click on send, and we see that we have 2 new collections created inside of our database, and they have been returned to us as we have specified here to return the result from this insert many function. Let's go back now and check our rooms if they are pre-filled, and we see that we have already inserted the documents here. Okay, we will delete those 2. Okay, we still have more work here with the rooms, but let's go now to the reservations and create the ability of the server to handle reservations, just the way we created a model for the rooms. Now we create one for the reservation. We'll type var reservation, and we'll use again mongoose model, and here we'll type again reservation. Let's now define the fields inside of our collection reservation. It will be house name, type string, a full name of the user who is going to reserve the house, again string, pretty much everything here will be string, the phone will be string, the email of the user. If he has or she has some commands, or command field, we have string. Think of this as database fields, but actually we're filling one collection with them because we're working with unstructured data. And then we would like for each reservation to specify for which period it has been reserved. So we'll have a field reserved. And since we will be storing dates here, it will be an array of string. Okay, so this is our model for the reservation. And now we'll start using it. Just the way we created room roles, we'll create the same for the reservation. So just type here reservation, the reservation routes, and this will be our express router. And in the end, when we go to the URL reservation, we'll use this reservation routes. So we will handle all the requests coming to this path via the reservation routes. Now we are ready. We have the model, we have the path and the router set up, and we can use our reservation routes. The first thing we would like to do is to grab all the reservations, so we can actually copy the code from within our rooms. So just copy it and paste it here. But this time we would like it to be for the reservations. Again, we would like to find all the reservations here. So we use our model, and the rest will be the same. For now, if we save and try to browse the URL reservations all, we will see in a JSON format who has already created reservations in our system. We see the reserved array here with all the dates, and we also see the emails, the name and the command of the user. This is because we have data here in this collection here. All right, so this works. Let's continue with the next route. Actually, the next route will be for deletion of a reservation. So we can just type same function here. We can just use it by copying it, and we'll paste it here. And here it will be delete the URL we would like to go to, and we'll use the post method. So whenever the user uses post method to this URL reservation delete, we would like to use here delete1 as a method. And pretty much this will be the same here, but we have to specify criteria which we would like to use when we are deleting records. This here will not be empty. Inside we'll specify the ID of our record we would like to delete, and we'll get it from this parameter here, request. So from the received request we are having, inside of its body, we can access the parameters which the user is sending us. So we'll just get, let's say, the parameter reservation ID. And if this parameter reservation ID is set, we'll match all the records in our database which have the same ID as the requested, and if they are such, we'll delete them. This is basically how this delete function goes. For this, we have to provide this parameter ID here. So we go to Postman and we'll try to test our URL. So just type here reservations, and if we try to post it like this, probably it will not work, and we see that we have an error, cannot read property reservation ID of undefined. That's why we have to specify the ID parameter. Visually, actually, this will get this ID and will match the records, and we will delete them based on this ID here. All right, so we can go to the reservations, and let's say we would like to grab this record, and it has this ID here. So we will copy it and we'll use it in our Postman to make a proper query. In order to create this post request, we'll go to body, and then we'll go to row, and then we click on JSON. So we're trying to send a JSON data to our Express server in a form of object. Inside of this object, we'll have a reservation ID parameter, and this will be the value of the parameter, of course, in quotes. We have to put in our JSON request in order to be valid quotes all around the request. So here there are quotes around the reservation ID and then for the value of the ID. Alright, we see that we cannot read a property reservation ID, although we are sending a proper request to our server. This is due to the fact that we cannot access the body part of the request. For this, if you can remember, we have required this package body parser, and now we use the body parser within our application. Whenever we are trying to initialize our application, then we'll use app.use and we'll use the body parser. We'll pass parameters such as extended false. This is just for us to be able to grab URL encoded data. And also we'll use again the body parser to be able to send a JSON response. So we will just type body parser.json. Also we would like to be able to send cross origin requests when we are using Angular afterwards. So we'll just type app use course, this course here we have. Afterwards we would like here, instead of deleting the record, first just to check what kind of data we are getting from our body. So we save and refresh our server, and here in the Postman we can just click send, and here we see that we receive the data from the reservation ID. So once we have this correctly, we can use it in our delete procedure. Okay, we save, we refresh the server, and we check out whether this reservation ID here will exist after we run the delete function. So we access this delete route. Alright, so we go once again to the Postman. This is the URL for the deletion, and then this is the reservation ID we would like to delete. We click on send. We see that the request is working, and now if we refresh our reservations, we should not see the last third one. Alright, so we have second, and we see there is no third. So we successfully managed to delete the data from our reservations. We're continuing developing our room routes. Since we have our reservation model already created, we will use it inside of our room routes. We're starting by making a new reservation, at the same time updating the reserved rooms. We'll just type room route, and when we are on the route reserve and we are using the post method, we have handles to our request and response, and basically we would like first to try to update our reservations. And if we are able to update the reservations, this means that we can push another date into our reservations. We will create a new reservation with the details of the user. So effectively, if there is a free date, a user can reserve him or herself into our system. Alright, so first we will try to update the room reservations. So we'll type room.update1, and inside as a criteria we'll give the ID of the room we would like to reserve. So we'll get it from the request body .id. And here is the important update. So we'll use add to set to update the field of reserved, and we'll try to push inside what we have in our requests body reserved variable. This function, if there is empty date, it will just update our reserved array and will push this date inside. So we can type function error or result. If there is an error, so we cannot update the result, we will just send the error in the response. This means that the date is blocked. If there is a result, we will check if this function update1 has actually updated our records if result dot and modified equals to 1. This means that we have pushed a new date into the reserved dates in this collection of rooms. And now, if that's true, we'll make a new reservation and we'll save it into the reservations collections. We'll type var new reservation equals new reservation. It's another way of creating records. And inside we have to specify the fields from the model reservation, which we would like to fill. So if you can remember, those were the house name, full name, phone, email, command, and the reserved. And we can just copy and paste them here. But just for them, we'll use everything from the request body we have. So we'll use request body dot house name, full name, here the phone, here will be the email, the command, and the reserved. All right, let's format a little bit the document. When we have this instance of the model created, we also would like to save it or to write it into our database. So we'll type new reservation.save. Also, we would like in the meantime to send the result. So we'll type response.json and we'll send the result. So let's recap. When we're browsing the reserve world, we are post and we're posting a lot of the details of the reservation we would like to make in our request. We're first trying to update our rooms. So actually we're trying to update here the rooms. If we are able to push into the reserved array dates, then we are trying to create a new reservation. So we are first trying to update the rooms. We are passing the specific ID of the room we would like to update. And if we are able to update it, so if we are able to push new data into the reserved via this add to set command of MongoDB, then we create a new reservation. For the new reservation, we pass the data we have in our requests, and then we save the data. And now we will try to test it in Postman. So in Postman, in order to do this, we'll just use here rooms in the URL, and then we'll type reserve. The next thing is to fill our JSON request. So first, for the house name, let's say we would like to fill the first house. And for the full name, I would like to fill person 1. Then for the phone, something random. For the email, we're composing our record right now. Comment, new reservation. And for the reserve, we'll just type a certain date. Let's say 10/10/2010. Okay, that's for now. Also, we have to specify the ID of the room collection we would like to update. Alright, for this, we'll just go back to our database, and for the house name 1, we'll grab this ID here and use it. This will be for the first part of our query. First, we're querying the collection with this ID, whether we can push new reserved dates inside. Okay, so this for now is our JSON record, and we can try to send this request. We click on send, and we see that actually we have succeeded. When we go back into our rooms, and we see for the reserved, we managed to reserve this date inside. So this way we can reserve more dates. For example, here we can type different date, and when we click send, and again refresh our collections here, we see that we have managed to reserve another date here in our collection. Also, when we click on the reservations, keep in mind that we had already some reservations here, but we see the latest 2 reservations from the house name 1, the person, and all the data we actually used here in Postman to send those requests. Also, the reserved date is working. So we successfully managed to reserve rooms and work with the both collections of data, reservations and rooms. Now it's time to see how we can free some rooms, or we would like to keep this data here, but actually to free the dates which users have reserved already. So let's see how we can do this. We go back to our server.js and we'll start writing our new route. We'll use the room routes, and when we would like to browse the free route using post for this, we'll grab the request and the response, and we would like our reservations to remove from them the reserved dates. So we'll just type reservation.update, and then for the criteria, what we would like to update, we'll just like to filter out via the house name field. So we'll send this house name via our body of the request. So once we have the house name, we would like to free the dates we are passing through our request. So we use the operator pull from the MongoDB on the reserved field. We would like to pull all the records. So we use the in operator, which will grab records we pass as an array. So we'll type request.body to free will be our parameter we would like to pass. And also one specifics. If we have multiple reservations, in order to catch the other reservations and to update them too, we'll just pass multi to true here. And the next thing is just the ordinary type of function here, which will just send if there is an error or if this operation has succeeded. Let's recap how we are freeing the rooms. First, we are filtering out based on the house name we are passing. Afterwards, we're passing another array, which is called toFree, and whatever it's inside of this array, we're trying to remove it from the reserved field in our table. Okay, that's it for this route. And now we're going to test it. Go back to the Postman and we type free. Inside of the body of the request, we have to pass the house name. Let's say we would like to pass the house name 1. So type 1. So for the first house, we would like to pull some data or to remove data from the reserved one. So here we'll type toFree and the data we would like to remove. Let's go back and see which dates are reserved. We see that this date is already reserved, so we will try to copy the date and send it here as a parameter of this array. Here we'll pass the data as a plain string. We click on send and we see that we have modified one record. When we go to our reservations here and refresh, our array here is already empty, so we managed to free the date for now. Actually, we can add some test data. Let's say 2 dates here, or 3. Alright, so we have those dates. Let's try to remove more than one date. So we go to Postman. So we are providing them within an array the dates, and they are delimited by quotes. So let's go and check what's inside of our database. We see that we successfully removed more than one record using this way.